We got another big show on deck. As always, I am Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker in the building, NCAA champion with Kentucky and NBA champion with the Miami Heat. A lot of topics to get into on this NBA Hall of Fame induction weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus who is the best player to never have won a ring in the NBA, and a lot going down just in the sports world and politics. It's all bleeding together. Colin Kaepernick with the Nike ad. LeBron says he supports Colin Kaepernick. Number 45, he said NFL players just need to stand for the flag, period. Normally we don't get into that, but it's such a topic that everybody's discussing. We have to dive into it. But Antoine, Labor Day in the rearview mirror. How you feeling? How was your holiday, my friend?
It was good, pretty good. It's nice, man. The weather's starting to change.
Yep.
We don't got that, the hot weather's gone. We're getting into the 70s. The fall look, the leaves starting to change. So it's all good.
A little rainy the last few days, though. I would prefer a little bit drier weather, a little bit sunnier weather. But, I was talking with one of the other people.
We had a great summer. And the summer's not over yet, but we had a great summer. Now, we can't complain.
Yeah, the summer is over when school is back in. I have a daughter.
Right, yeah.
My man Horace, he has a daughter. So the first day of school was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And we talked about before, obviously, you have daughters. Your daughter's a lot older. But the volleyball season going on, and you posted about your daughter on IG.
Yeah, she got all-tournament team, the first tournament of the season. She just came close to setting the record for hitting percentages in Northwestern history. So she's off so she's off to a good start right now, going into her second year. So they at Arkansas this weekend for a tournament in Arkansas this weekend. So good luck to the Lady Wildcats down there. But she's off to a good start. They got 5 or 6 new players. They got returning players.
All right, we don't need the scouting report for Northwestern volleyball, bro. We don't need the scouting. I'm happy for your daughter, but I don't need the scouting report for the team, bro.
I don't get on you when you post the recitals and rehearsals and all that stuff on Instagram. I don't call you and say, we don't need the video of your daughter singing, Christmas carols. But I listen and put a like to it and understand where you're coming from as a dad. But I'm just letting people know they want to watch the Lady Wildcats.
Are they, honestly, 100, are they on like the Big Ten network? Like, do they put some games on Big Ten?
Big Ten is let me give you a little history, just in case you don't know.
Okay.
So I listen. So the Big Ten is probably the toughest conference in the country as far as ladies volleyball. They usually keep 7 to 8 teams in the top 25. So every game is very competitive and good. So you gotta be prepared for that. But also, when they play the heavy teams, they're on Big Ten network. When they play the Nebraskas, the Wisconsins, the Purdue's, they get on there. If not, you can check them out on Facebook Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you got to know Northwestern. I know you don't follow Northwestern.
That I don't. Women's volleyball, I have no reason
to. The school in itself has got a $290 million project that will be finished in the next couple of weeks, in which all the sports teams will have their own facilities and gyms to play in. So once that's finished, you never know what TV or what network we're going to be on. But right now, they're kind of scrambling around as far as finding the proper network until that facility is built.
I follow the football team. I saw like the first game of the season.
We're talking about volleyball right now. Yeah, we're talking about volleyball.
Right, but I just follow the major sports, basketball, football, baseball. Keep real. I'm happy to see your daughter doing well. Don't get it twisted. That's why I brought it up. I wanted you to be able to talk about your daughter, but I just didn't need to know about everything surrounding the whole team.
That's right. Well, I'm just trying to help you out, keep you up, brother. Every week now. Going forward, I think every week we should, do it while the volleyball season's going on. We should do a temperature check.
A Wildcats update?
It's a temperature check, record, seeing what the hitting percentage is, just seeing where she at.
Okay. Yeah. Training camp for the NBA starts in a few weeks, so we still do have a couple of light weeks. So the next couple of weeks, maybe we should check in. But, training camp towards the end of September for the NBA.
Well, football's starting too. So we got football, the Bears Sunday. Actually, football tonight.
Oh, yeah, we got the Falcons and the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champs.
Real quickly, who you got right there? Off the top of your head now. I know you got a little ties in Philly.
Yeah.
I know you're, wifey and everything. So.
I always think it's tough, that first game after winning a title emotionally. Certainly Carson Wentz still not ready to go, who was the MVP candidate last year, and they got Nick Foles at the helm. I'll probably roll with the Atlanta Falcons, trying to make some noise, start off the season with a bang.
Atlanta Falcons got a good offense, and I don't know if you play or Ryan. I'm a big fantasy guy.
Yeah.
So I did my fantasy team last week, and I actually picked Matt Ryan. I don't think I'm going to start him, though.
Okay. You doing the season long?
All season long. I'm all in.
Okay.
I'm all in. So draft.
Right.
We did a nice little draft party. My man Deck, smoking cigars, whiskey, making your picks on your laptop, computer. I did the whole thing.
Right.
So I'm prepared for, fantasy football. That's my thing.
Normally, I do get into it. We've had a league at our place of employment before, 120. That sort of thing. I didn't do it this year, bro. Because it can be time consuming. I don't know how you are. Because some people, in terms of trades and a waiver wire, do you get in deep like that?
Well, what I like to do, and I really like to give my strategy away.
Okay,
But I usually like to wait 3-4 weeks, let my team kind of play it out, see who's going to be pretty good. Then I start making moves. But yeah, I do try to make trades. I waive guys. I look at the waiver wire, try to pick up guys. I do. And you got to remember, you got to watch the bye week.
For sure.
You got to watch the bye week.
You definitely want to make sure that, when you have a guy that's not playing, that he's not in the lineup. Because I love taking advantage of folks that's not watching their team like that.
Yeah, so I like to watch it. I mean, now you got to remember, the Bears opened up Sunday night. I'm a Bears fan.
We all about it.
We signed Khalil Mack.
Oh, yeah, we are. I'm looking forward to this defense.
Sunday night, Green Bay Packers.
Matt Nagy, the new coach. We
got 2 national TV games the first 2 weeks of the season. We got the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night next week. So I'm excited about the football season.
No doubt about it. Also, a big weekend in the NBA. SouthSideHeat, certainly we'd like to discuss what's going on the hardwood. NBA Hall of Fame weekend. 13 guys will be enshrined on Friday. Saturday, they have the induction celebration and a ring ceremony. Certainly, when you look at some of the headliners, a Jason Kidd, a Grant Hill, Ray Allen, Steve Nash, and a guy from Chicago, Mo Cheeks. But I want to start here, Antoine, with a couple of guys from your draft class. I would imagine that has to be, I won't say special. I want to get your take on it. First, Ray Allen was picked right before you.
Yes.
I see your hashtag a lot. We discussed it. You was 6th pick. You wasn't in the green room that long. 6th pick. He was
about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes. Well, he was the 5th pick.
Yeah.
He went right before you, out of UConn. I would imagine you saw him quite a bit because his early years he was doing some things in Milwaukee. Be honest, and that's what we about on the SouthSideHeat. To see Ray Allen and Steve Nash, Nash was 15. What does that feel like knowing you were in the same draft class, knowing, I'm sure you all did the photo shoot. You a confident dude for good reason, and I know you probably thought, man, I could ball better than these guys. To see them going into the Hall of Fame, what is that like for you?
Well, one, obviously, I'm happy for those guys. Obviously, I played with Steve in Dallas, so got to know him very well for a season, and so I'm definitely happy for him. One thing I think as a player, and especially for me, what you do is you look at, first thing you do is you go to the numbers.
Okay.
And you go to comparing numbers. And you go to comparing careers. And when you look at Steve Nash, you got to look at the situation where he has 2 MVP trophies.
Yep.
Obviously, he never won one. I don't think Steve ever even played in the finals.
I don't think so. I think the Western Conference Finals when he had the MVP run.
No, I said finals. It's different.
Right. No, I'm saying as far as he got was the Western Conference Finals.
I know, but we finals. He never played in the finals.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, okay. That's all I'm talking about. He never played in the finals. So it's hard to say. It's like one of those things you can't hate and you can't be upset that he made it. I think it's well deserved. I thought he was one of the pure point guards to play this game. He'll be considered in the top, arguably in the top 5 because he was a 50, 40, 90 guy.
For sure.
We didn't really talk about those numbers until Steph kind of did it, and then people started saying, wow, the 50, 40, 90 guys, and Steve Nash was the first one of those guys to do that. I don't know if Dirk got to that point, but he was one of the first, especially point guards, to do the 50, 40, 90 thing. So happy for Steve. Ray Allen, obviously, depending on what you think, I consider Ray Allen as he's in my top, 6'2" guards that ever played the game. So it's hard to see him not there. Had a great career, one of the purest shooters we've seen in the league, and obviously able to win a couple titles with the Heat and then obviously with the Celtics. So I think both of those guys are well deserving of the award. My personal feeling, being in the '96 draft with them, I'm not really upset, and I think I'm gonna always feel the same way because I kind of put the onus on myself. I felt like I was on a path and a way after winning the championship to be a Hall of Famer. I just didn't end my career the right way. I think being on bad teams, getting traded from Miami, leaving that situation with playing with Shaq and D-Wade, and obviously going to Minnesota and then Memphis was kind of the tail end of it. Just going to bad teams, bad situations, young teams, they went in rebuilding process, not in situations where I could be a veteran that's going to still play big minutes for those teams. So my numbers got a little, they were still good enough to get in. I think my numbers are good enough to get in now, but I don't think I ended well enough to get into the Hall of Fame.
You mentioned you played with Steve in Dallas, and that actually was the year before he went to Phoenix and won those 2 MVPs. When you played with him, did you feel he had another gear? Did you ever think, like, this guy is something special? Obviously, you thought he was very good. You knew Steve Nash could ball. But to win 2 MVPs is elite, another level, and you were with him right before that happened. Could you foresee that when you played with him?
No, because the one thing I would say, Steve, was he was a liability on the defensive end. Couldn't really guard his man. He was not a great defender, so you never seen that.
Right.
You did see the potential for him to be a good point guard, not an MVP point guard, and obviously he took his game to another level. And I think Steve was the MVP because I always look at guys that change other guys' career. I look at Steve Nash when he went to Phoenix. Let's think about Sean Marion.
Right.
Let's think about your boy Quentin Richardson.
Yep.
Obviously Amari Stoudemire. I think he changed those guys' careers.
Leandro Barbosa.
You know what I'm saying? Where, a lot of point guards don't do that. I think when you look at Jason Kidd, he's one of those guys too that changed guys' careers. Vince Carter, Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson. Those guys were able to flourish playing with point guard like those type of point guards. And that's why that makes them elite when you're able to bring up other guys and get other guys paid. It's only a few guys that play in this league that get other guys paid by playing with them. I think LeBron James is a big
oh, yeah. Tristan Thompson.
Well, I mean, you got to think of Tristan Thompson, Amon Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Damon Jones. The list goes on and on and on of LeBron James getting guys paid and being alongside him. I think Shaquille O'Neal is another guy who's got a lot of guys paid, being able to knock down threes and play alongside him. So it's a few guys that you put in that category, and I think Steve Nash is in that category. So when I played with him, no, I didn't see that. He still was very good, a very special point guard. But to say I seen the MVP level out of him, I'll be lying if I said that. But unbelievable career, 2-time MVP. One of them got a question mark on it. Kobe Bryant had that monster year that year, but I think the team was only like 500. So I think Kobe didn't get it because his team did not have the same team success that the Phoenix Suns had.
Be honest though, '96 that was what Marbury.
I think '96. I think it kind of it's exciting to see that too, from my end because it kind of more, without me being biased, it kind of states that look, this '96 class is the best class ever in the NBA.
Okay.
Now when you start getting because now Allen Iverson's in.
Yep.
Now Ray's in. Steve Nash is in. And you
Kobe will go in.
Kobe will go in. So you got, when you start to get 5 and 6 guys to be Hall of Famers out your draft class, it's very special to be a part of.
Did you think, I'm just trying to go back, as I look at it, you see Stephon Marbury and Marcus Camby. I guess Jermaine O'Neal probably came out of high school. I don't remember.
Yeah, he was out of high school.
Did you think like, yeah, Ray Allen's going to be legit in this league. Steve Nash, that's questionable. Is this Samaki Walker? I think we had talked about him before.
Yeah, Lorenzen Wright, Kerry Kittles.
Yeah. Were there some guys that you saw and you were like, nah, they not on the same level as me and some of these other guys?
You know what? When I came in, I had a different mentality. My mentality was that I didn't want to be a bust. You get drafted.
For sure.
And then you kind of like reset your goals. So I was like, man, I got drafted. I finally made it. But now, how do I not be a bust? and I was lucky after my second year, right away.
All-Star.
All-Star team. Me and Kobe Bryant. I think Kobe made it 2 out the West in '98, if I'm not mistaken. So I think both of us made it out that draft class right away. So you just want to, one, be an All-Star. You know, once you make it, be an All-Star, and then obviously make as much money as you can, and then obviously win a ring, and then after that, obviously it's the Hall of Fame. And to take the conversation way further than that, I think that's what's going to happen with Klay Thompson. Because it's going to come to a point where he wants to have his own legacy. Okay. He's still kind of, he's kind of, obviously we basketball people know how good Klay Thompson is, but I think that's what's going to be one of the things that may drive Klay Thompson to leave. He's got 3 rings. He's, he's got all his. He's playing up under the shadow of KD and Steph Curry. He's going to want his own fame.
I want to stay with this Hall of Fame class because it's so important. It's just a great milestone. And Jason Kidd, who I just think of as a triple-double machine, surprisingly that he never really averaged a triple-double. But I know you and your Boston team with Paul Pierce and him and I guess Kenyon Martin, and I believe maybe Richard Jefferson on those teams, but you all had some battles. Were it not for maybe Jason those couple years, you may have gone to the finals with Boston because you played them once in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
What was it like going up against Jason at the, at a high level? Because it was the Eastern Conference Finals, then the year after at the Eastern Conference Semifinals you saw them.
Yeah, and then we played them, it was a span of 3 years where we played them. It seemed like we played them 10, 12 times a year. Which was because you got to add preseason in there too. Right. So we played them a ton, and obviously we went against Jason Kidd where he was unbelievable. At that time, I thought he was the best point guard in the game, a triple-double threat. His size, his speed, his ability to get shots for other people was impeccable. I thought Jason Kidd was the best point guard. You're talking about 2001, 2002. Yep. They went to back-to-back finals. They went through us both times. We had them on the ropes the first year, up 2-1 at home. Ended up losing that series in 6 games. And then the next year, he was just unbelievable. We got swept. To the defense of me and Paul Pierce, we never had a point guard to be at that level. Kenny,
you had Kenny the first year.
We had Kenny the first year, and Kenny's my man. I love Kenny, but Kenny was kind of on the down end of his career, where Jason was just in his prime and just starting to put, really trying to take his game to the next level. So, he was special, man. It's hard to say. He was the Magic Johnson. Okay. He was the Magic Johnson.
What was it about him? Was it the speed? I think of him a fast break machine.
6'4", legit 6'4".
The vision,
the speed. The ability to get other guys shots, the command of the floor, the leadership that he had on the floor. And Jason Kidd was a pretty good defender. Okay. He wasn't a slouch on the defensive end, too. So that's what
he wasn't a Steph Curry or a James Harden, just all, offense.
Yeah, he wasn't those type of guys. Those two guys, that. We'll talk about them.
Can't guard a locked door. That's how you always say it.
Yeah, they can't guard a locked door. Think about it, though. If you can't guard a locked door, that's a, okay.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. But yeah, that's some of the things you think about Jason Kidd, just being the best. He just, at that time I had him in that Magic Johnson category that we hadn't seen there with the fancy passes. And like I told you, he's one of those unique players that we talk about, the handful of guys that made other guys rich. Okay. Kenyon Martin, we should be thanking him. Vince Carter, even though Vince Carter was more of a two-guard that kind of established himself a little bit more in Toronto, but Richard Jefferson, Keith Van Horn, those type of guys he made great. So you got to keep that in mind. And obviously Jason Kidd going to the Dallas Mavericks and playing with Dirk and Stackhouse and Jason Terry and Devin Harris and those guys and being able to help that franchise get an NBA title was great too.
Anybody else you want to touch on? Certainly Grant Hill. He balled out in Detroit. I don't know if you want to say something about Mo Cheeks. Either one of those guys, you have the floor.
Well, I think obviously Mo Cheeks, a Chicago guy. A lot of people from Chicago didn't get to see him play. Mo Cheeks was not the big name point guard. You had to really know the game of basketball to know how good Mo Cheeks really was. Great years in Philly playing with Julius Erving. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that how the role he played with that, and also playing with Charles Barkley as well.
Sure.
He has he has some pretty good years too, also with the New York Knicks. So Mo Cheeks he had a great basketball career from the South Side. I mean, from the West Side of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. But just a great talent. I mean, I got a chance to see him towards the end of his career when I started to follow basketball, watch some of the epic battles with the Lakers in Philly and the Celtics in Philly. So I got a chance to watch Mo Cheeks play a lot. Grant Hill, you know, the jury's out on his selection. Obviously, you know, Grant Hill had a tremendous start to his career. We actually at one point thought he was, you know, at the Michael Jordan level, where we thought he was arguably could be the best player in the NBA. Injuries obviously held him back from being as good as he could have been. I think Grant Hill, I think they took in consideration, and I don't, you know, how they pick these things, but I think his college career played a huge part in Grant Hill getting in on top of his NBA career. Brought up some question marks on some guys that we're going to see if they get in, because you can put a Penny Hardaway in the Grant Hill category, whether or not he should go into the Hall of Fame. You know, Chris Webber's coming up, another guy who was had a great college, you know, really known in college and had some great early years in his career. So he brings the question mark for a lot of guys that sometimes injuries play a huge part in whether or not they should be in the Hall of Fame. But congratulations to Grant Hill. I like Grant Hill. I'm a big fan of his, one of the versatile small forwards in the game that can, you know, was a triple-double threat early on in his career. So I'm always a fan of those type of players.
Yeah, when I look at Grant Hill, 5-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA player, had the foot injury that really robbed him of maybe him achieving all he could achieve. And then I look at Penny, 4-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA player. I still get a nod to Grant for sure for what he did. Will Penny get in? That's so tough. Will Penny Hardaway get in? I don't know if I put him in. He's borderline. I would have to dig into the numbers a whole lot more. But you make up a great point, and I think that's a great topic of discussion. As you mentioned, if Grant gets in, should Penny Hardaway get in too? Would you put him in? As it stands right now, I would not put Penny in. But then again, though, we looking at Mo Cheeks.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think Penny deserves to get in.
You think so?
I look at guys' impact of the game and where they were. I mean, Penny was great in Orlando. I mean, I thought he was really good in Phoenix. Just got injuries. Yeah. And I know, and if you look at Grant Hill, I mean, he was great in Detroit, but then after that, we never seen this. We never seen Grant Hill get back to Grant Hill form. We saw a guy have multiple surgeries, finally got his ankle well enough where he could play. I think Grant Hill had to actually take something out of his calf and put in his ankle.
Like a graft or something.
Yeah, like he had to do something real serious to be able to play. So to say he was a Hall of Fame, I mean, I know he had some great serviceable years in Phoenix, playing with Steve Nash, them kind of being a defender, a guy that played with that group. I mean, I don't see how you don't put Penny Hardaway in that conversation. It's tough to do that. That's why I believe that the college part plays a part. If I'm not mistaken, in the NBA Hall of Fame, doesn't college play a part in that?
I believe so. Because I know the international game does. And I think college might too. I think college might because it's just the basketball Hall of Fame,
right?
You know, whereas it's the NFL Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame,
right? So it's the basketball. So that's why I think Grant Hill gets in because of his college career.
Yeah,
I think that's what. And then obviously he had one of the best college careers. I think Grant Hill stayed 3 years, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah. So Penny, I mean, well, you know, Penny turned Memphis around. I mean, yes, I mean, it's a good topic for conversation, and I'm probably not thinking of some other guys that kind of fit into that category that may borderline guys that may not get in, but there's some guys that fit into that category.
Because really, when you look at Mo Cheeks, I mean, his stats don't jump off the page. 11 points per game, 6.7 assists. He played 15 seasons, but he played for a long time. He 13th all-time in assists, 5th all-time in steals. So the average is not there, but the longevity
is there, yeah.
Is there.
So they figuring out different ways. And I don't know how you can politic or who can politic for you to get in there, but it's like somebody kind of kept Mo Cheeks' name in the mix.
Right.
Somebody kept his name in the mix. through that process. Maybe we got to look at his college career. Was Mo Cheeks a great college player?
I don't know.
That maybe that played a part.
You asking me? I don't even know what college Mo Cheeks went to. The fact that we know he's from Chicago, and I checked that he played at DuSable High School, and now you want me to know what he got drafted in '78. And you have to like
I'm trying to like you just brought up a great point. I mean, for Mo Cheeks, it has to be longevity of why he made it. It's just some guys that jump off the page.
West Texas A&M University.
It's kind of some guys. I mean, like we all thought, well, should Tracy McGrady make it because he never really. But then you look at, and then you like, man, you go look at Tracy McGrady's stats. You like, nah, he did. This a guy averaged almost 30 points a game for like 6 straight seasons or something like that.
Right.
I mean, so like you look at that and you like, oh, okay, now you change your mind. You know what I mean? Mo Cheeks, you look at his stats and don't change your mind, like it's still a question mark.
Yeah.
Grant Hill doesn't change your mind, it's still a big question mark. So you got to figure that the college part played a big part in that.
I was reading the article too that Mo Cheeks has had a huge impact on Russell Westbrook. You know, from his time being an assistant coach
I can imagine,
City,
yes.
And he has really helped mentor him.
But that means you're a basketball. That means you're a Hall of Famer.
That probably shouldn't factor into it.
But that's a great point, though. He is a big part of that. Probably if it's development.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Sometimes that goes. We don't think about the coaches that help some of these young stars become great players. We just see them working them out, but we don't know how impact the film sessions, the behind the scenes, the footage that's not there in practice. I saw Eric Spoelstra every day with Dwayne Wade. I think I told you that, and I thought he was going to be a great coach, but I saw him develop Dwayne Wade into being a great player, and played a major part in developing his game every day, working on him and his moves and things of that nature. So, and you see those, and you can tell by those guys' relationship how close they are.
So Grant Hill goes in. He's never won a ring. Steve Nash goes in. You mentioned Steve Nash never made it to the finals. So that brings up the question: who is the best player of all time that never won a ring? Nash, Grant Hill, Iverson, or Barkley in that conversation, Dominique Wilkins, Patrick Ewing, John Stockton, Karl Malone. Those some heavy hitters right there. Those some names out of all those guys who never made it to where you made it. Never got the ring, never got the banner ceremony.
Wow.
Best guy to never win a ring.
That is tough, man. And I'm gonna have to go with the best guy that ever won a ring. I gotta go with Karl Malone. It's tough.
Okay.
But I gotta go with Karl Malone. And the reason why I picked Karl Malone, this is a guy that's been to the finals 3 times, has had heartbreak 3 times. Obviously.
Yeah, when you run up against MJ.
He run against MJ, and he had those 2 times against MJ, and very competitive basketball series. Not like they were like slouch over series they won 6 games. Very competitive. They had their opportunities to obviously win those series, but Michael was a bit much. And then obviously we know Karl went for the ring late in his career, going over to the Lakers and joining Kobe and Shaq. And we know that the injuries, and he was actually hurt that year too for the majority part, and obviously coming up short against Detroit. But Karl Malone, I mean, all-time second best power forward to ever play the game to me, behind Tim Duncan. So I think Karl Malone is the best player to never win a ring.
I wanted to...
Because you got to think, I mean, and put this in perspective, a lot of guys, Barkley got there once.
Right. Iverson got there once.
Iverson got there once early in his career, but Iverson teams were never championship teams.
No.
You look at Steve Nash, could never get past the Lakers to get there. Grant Hill never was, after his injury, he never was in that situation again. I mean, he played in a couple of Phoenix teams that had some chances.
Ewing got there twice, right? Did they use the Houston both of those years when Mike was out?
I
know they lost to Houston once when Mike was out.
They lost to Houston once.
Once. Was that the only time they got there? Because obviously he ran up against Mike, many years.
It was tough when he got to East, and I think he lost to Shaq. Then beat them too, right? Shaq then beat the Knicks to get to the finals too.
Okay. I wanted to have a difference of opinion, but Karl Malone would be my choice as well. And for me, it's dual. I can't say Karl Malone without John Stockton. So for me, best player to never win a ring is both of those guys. And for me, the longevity, to staying with the one team. Stockton was there, you know, his whole career. Malone, as you mentioned, just went to the Lakers just for that one season at the very end. When you look at him, like 25 and 10, they just play at a high level every single season. Some of those guys, like a Grant Hill, we mentioned the injuries. You know, Barkley kind of tailed off towards the end of his career. You know, Dominique, you know, he tailed off towards the end of his career. You could expect them to play like 82 games, and you could expect them to bring it, you know, for many, many seasons. And we talking MVP. When you talk about Karl Malone won the MVP. Some of these other guys like Dominique and Grant Hill, they didn't win MVP.
I think, you know, and I think even Dominique never had a championship team. Obviously, he would have had, in his prime, he would have had to go through Michael. I think they played each other in the playoffs. He couldn't get past Michael. I mean,
Michael's past Bird.
Yeah, that's true too. Right, Bird, that's a great point there. So a lot of guys, I think, just didn't have championship teams. I think we got to look at that too. I think that's why you kind of put Karl Malone and John Stockton at the top of the totem pole. Yeah. Even I would say Charles Barkley's up there too. Charles Barkley's teams were really, really good.
Close.
You know, when they had Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley.
Yeah.
He had really good teams too as well. So I think Utah had championship teams, obviously, to get there a couple years back to back. Those guys, like you said, the longevity part, that's the cream of the crop of guys that didn't get the title.
The mailman, Karl Malone, second all-time in scoring, two-time MVP. I'm with you on that one. If they played in a different time, maybe they would have got their ring. But
I don't know. You know, a shot go this way, a jump shot go that way, but when the guy got the flu and still give you 40,
that's a problem.
It's a tough.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make a better case? I guess I gotta be the antagonist on this one.
Okay.
Does that make a better case for Allen Iverson as the best player to ever make it?
Because he drug his team.
Exactly. Like you just said, his teams were never championship caliber. There was no way they were even supposed to win a game that year. The Lakers steamrolled through the playoffs that year. Iverson was the only. You can never say Allen Iverson and such. You just said Stockton and Malone. They go together. So you always had a little. They always had a little bit more help with each other.
I think
right. Joking today. I'm just saying, if we talking about one player.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what. I can't say he's necessarily a better player.
So you telling me you think Karl Malone would have made the finals without John Stockton?
It's hard to pull them apart. It's hard to pull them apart.
Not out west. I mean, not out west. And
I mean, at that time, the East was pretty tough too.
When Iverson went through the East, no. I think the game.
I'm talking about when Stockton and Malone were doing their thing in the West. The East was really where it was at. If you remember, there was a shift right after Mike left, and the West became the juggernaut that we know today. But before that,
it was tougher than the West because the Rockets were good, Portland was good, you know, Utah was very good, the Lakers still were very competitive. I wouldn't say the Spurs. The Spurs were
on the cusp.
Yeah, turning it around a little bit. I mean, that's a good argument. I mean, if you want to say if Allen Iverson is the best player to never win one, I think what makes people respect Allen Iverson and that team is kind of like LeBron this season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was kind of like a one-man show, and a lot of people had a lot of respect for Iverson to be able to get them to the finals. When everybody knew, if you kind of look at the, I mean, I don't know the odds of that series. We ever can look back at the odds of that series, the Lakers versus Philly. I think people had sweep.
Yeah. Right.
And then AI went in there and got
game one, and they was burning Philly down.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So that I think that was the thing. But I think you know, Allen Iverson's run in the finals that one time that he went was the same thing that we saw LeBron do this season, where he legitimately put the team on his back and carried them there. I think obviously with Philly, he had a great supporting cast defensively. They were one of the best defensive teams we ever seen, with Mutombo in the middle and George Hill and Eric Snow and Aaron McKee probably was the next best offensive player.
He won 6 Man of the Year that year.
Yeah, so you only really had two guys that can put in the hole, and we just kind of watched LeBron James kind of carry his team this year kind of in the same fashion. Maybe not defensively the same way, but offensively, both styles, both guys just kind of putting them on the back. When they need to get 40, they got 40. Whatever they need to do offensively to help their team win that game, they did it. So I think that's an interesting point. A lot of people may say Allen Iverson is the best player. A lot of people love Allen Iverson because of his size and the way he was able to score the basketball. But we also are talking about a guy who's the two-time MVP, second leading scorer in NBA history, the longevity that he played with. He been to the finals 3 times in the era, and obviously plays the GOAT and went against the GOAT twice, and took him 6 games. So you got to give Karl Malone a lot of credit for that, and had to go against arguably maybe the toughest top 3, top 4 best defenders ever in the league, and Dennis Rodman. As far as defending Karl Malone gave him some numbers too. Now, you know Karl Malone gave him some numbers.
Oh, gave Rodman some numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, the little fadeaway was nasty. It was hard to defend. No, he was giving a lot of people.
He gave some numbers now. It wasn't easy pickings.
That's one of those guys where you can't stop him. You just hope to contain him. That's all you can do with Karl Malone. Karl Malone can get his 25. You just hope he don't get 30. You just hope he don't get 35 on you. That's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I mean, Karl Malone, he was built. Like, when you talk about power forward, he put the power in power forward. You don't always see that nowadays with guys, with guys running up and down the court. Like, that dude was...
He wasn't that powerful now. I played against Karl Malone. Now, we ain't going to toot his horn that hard.
He looked built to me. You played against him.
Yeah,
he looked like he was...
Nah, he was decent.
Okay. I'm like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. That cat looked swole up when he was out there. Straight up. Well, you talked about the best power forward. On the other side, I want to get your best player all time at every position.
Yes.
Point guard, shooting guard, small, power forward, and center. So you already gave us a little preview about who you might pick at that 4th spot. Stay with us, though. Southside Heat coming right back. You were saying break?
I was saying you had a window.
You said you should have teased it. You should have teased it.
Tease what?
His answer.
His answer for the question. It was a perfect time to tease it because you was coming up on the 2:30 break, so you could have been like, coming up on the other side, we're going to get Antoine's...
With the Tim Duncan? That's the other thing?
The best player to never make it.
Right there.
You had the tease right there. We're going to get his answer right after the break.
Yeah, he was right at that 2:30.
Yeah, it was right at,
I thought you were saying break. I thought you were saying break. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, because it was running into 2:29, so it was like, oh, that was easy. Boom, you could have teased it on it.
Because you had just set it up like, okay, I was like, oh, he about to,
Okay. Nah, I just kept it wrong.
That Karl Malone, man.
That's it?
That was that Karl Malone, that dude.
He was built, man.
Yeah.
He was built for real. Nah, that was... For some reason, I thought you was going to pick somebody else, like a Barkley. But nah, that was the guy. He was the guy.
I saw some pictures of a video from recently. He still look like he can maybe get you about good 15.
Malone?
Yeah.
Everybody knows why you do what you do. 'Cause we get more money than you. Get more money than you. They say they lose their appetite when I always cut the bill. But baby, there's no need to lie, 'cause I know how you really feel.
Do something real quick.
Antoine, you like the new Eminem?
You need Eminem? You want Eminem?
No, I say, do you like that new?
It's decent. I like the diss from Yellow Wolf better though. Not Yellow Wolf, MGK.
No, I ain't heard it.
You ain't heard the diss? This is the first time anybody ever came at Eminem neck like this. So I want to hear a response.
Who's this?
Machine Gun Kelly.
It was dope.
Vicious. Got 26 million views in 3 days.
Well, Machine Gun Kelly owes his career to Eminem.
Well, if you listen to the diss record, he'll tell you different. He owes lack of a career to Eminem.
Oh, really?
Lack of. Yeah, the diss record was hard. I was like, man.
I like it. I like the Machine Gun Kelly. I like his new look.
Yeah.
He got rid of that. Cut all that hair off.
Are you ready?
Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker, back on the Southside Heat. Be sure to follow us on social media. Twan Walker 8 on IG. Twan Walker 8. C Townsend TV on the gram. C Townsend TV. Antoine goes live. You like to go live, man. Where you go live from? Facebook, Instagram? Which one is it?
Just depends on how I feel that day.
Just depends on which way you're leaning. This show, folks can catch it live on.
I'm to mix it up. We go Facebook right now. We'll mix it up.
Mix it up.
Yeah, we'll mix it up.
And you can always catch it later on YouTube. We post the show on YouTube every Friday, so you can see the behind the scenes, a little bit of what's going on during the commercial breaks, etc., etc., etc. So we continue on Southside Heat, and I saw an article. It's the summer, so folks, you got to have topics of discussion. Right. And we always talk about the GOAT. It's always the GOAT is MJ, the GOAT is LeBron, the GOAT is Kobe, the GOAT. So this one though, who is the GOAT at every single position? All 5 positions. I know nowadays, people switch and it's just really, wings and big men and things like that. But for this discussion, we're going to break it down. So Antoine, we start off at the 1, the prototypical point guard, who is the best player all time to ever be the floor general.
Woo. I'm going Magic Johnson.
Okay.
Magic Johnson is my guy. I'm taking that point guard. Changed the game of basketball at 6'9" to be able to handle the basketball. His vision, his ability to make other guys better, the creative showtime on the fast break. I got to go with Magic Johnson. Was my idol growing up. I wanted to be like Magic growing up. He was one player that I wanted to be like. So Magic Johnson is my #1 guy at the point guard position of all time.
Hard to argue with Magic Johnson. 5-time NBA champ. I think he is maybe 5th all-time in the assists. I have to check that as we talk, because certainly I know John Stockton and Mark Jackson, some of those other guys, have passed Magic up in terms of assists. You just have to wonder, too, what if Magic certainly wouldn't have had the HIV, because when Magic finished up, that was only like his 12th season, and he was only 31 years old.
That's a great point, because you got to think about it. He was great in the Olympics in '92.
Right.
Once he got cleared and played with those guys, he was spectacular.
And he did come back in '95, '96.
Yeah, he did, but obviously
wasn't the same.
The medicine had taken a toll. He wasn't the greatest shape. He had completely changed his game from point guard to kind of power forward. So the game was totally different then. I think he was just, fulfilling, getting it all out of the system. It was tough to lead the game, especially the way he did. So I think that's the reason why Magic came back in that '95, '96 season. But he was great in the Olympics in '92. I thought, obviously he played an intricate role and then winning the Olympics and arguably the best team ever assembled. Definitely an Olympic team ever assembled.
So yeah, Magic is 5th all-time in assists. That is correct. When you look at other guys maybe in the conversation, we had talked about John Stockton, who leads, all-time in assists. And I believe John Stockton is all-time in steals. I'll check that as we discuss as well. Oscar Robertson, who before Russell Westbrook was the only guy to average a triple-double. And some people really, he certainly has never been to the finals, but I think some people put Chris Paul in the conversation just in terms of impact on the game?
Well, I think Chris Paul's in the count. Not more so impact on the game. I think because he's a pure point guard.
Okay.
You know, a prototypical point guard that comes off the pick and roll, gets other guys shots, kind of has a balance. When you look at his numbers, it's always been a 17, 18, 19 points to, you know, 10, 11 assists. We've seen them type of numbers, and we don't see it all the time, especially in this new age of point guards where you got this run of scoring point guards, of the Derrick Roses, the Russell Westbrooks, the Steph Currys, the Damian Lillards, the John Walls. These guys are scoring point guards, and a lot of those guys don't have huge assist numbers. And I'm sorry for not mentioning Kyrie Irving in that conversation, but those guys are scoring point guards. They are the new era of point guards in the league, and Chris Paul has kind of stayed consistent as far as being kind of that prototypical point guard that's going to get you 18, 19 points, 10 assists, 3-4 steals a game. We don't see it a lot. You know, Steve Nash was probably the last guy we seen kind of put those type of numbers up game in and game out. These other point guards are averaging from 22 to 28 points a game, 5 or 6 assists.
Yeah,
you know, Steph Curry. Steph Curry's a 26 and 6 guy. So these are different guys, and the numbers that they put up are totally different that we're used to seeing. So
you feel like Chris Paul should at least be in the conversation?
No, I think Chris Paul right now has a lot of question marks on Chris Paul. He's got to get over that threshold. 1, he's had some injury problems. 2, he's never played in the finals. He's never played for one, so I'm not going to give him that credit yet. He's been on good enough teams where he should have that should have happened by now. I mean, the Clippers were really good. He had some injuries that kind of stopped them. Unfortunately, you look at last year, and obviously the Houston team, they up 3-2. He pulls his groin. So he's got to get over that hump. I mean, he's got a couple years left. Obviously, he had a huge contract this summer. So he's got a couple years to get over that hump before I start putting him in that all-time category.
So for every position, I want to get a current player. And, of course, Chris Paul is, you know, a guy who's current. And maybe that is your choice. But who is somebody that, if their career continues, or somebody that's playing at a high level right now, that when this all said and done, they could be in the GOAT conversation for their position? Where are we going for point guard?
You may not like this, but I think Russell Westbrook.
Well, how would you say I don't like it?
I mean, you're a Steph Curry guy. You probably would like me to pick Steph Curry. I mean, that's not offensive.
If you're being honest, I mean, that probably should be the pick. But you can pick who you want to pick.
Well, technically, that's not the case. When I'm talking about best point guard of all time, I'm gonna tell you why I think Westbrook. If Westbrook can get over, so he's been to the finals once, but if Westbrook can win him an NBA title, when you think about I don't know how many years he's gonna average a triple double. I'm not gonna say he's gonna do it too many more times.
Right.
But, you know, to go back-to-back 2 years averaging a triple-double, in the prime of his career right now, he has potential to do it again, maybe for the next couple of years with the energy and effort that he plays the game with. I think Westbrook is a guy that could go down in history as the all-time best point guard that will play the game. He brings it every night, gives 110%. Obviously, people try to get mad at him. The only knock on him is his so-called shot selection at times. He is turnover prone, but besides that, giving it, competing night in and night out, is going to have the numbers to support it. Obviously, we got to get the titles there. We need to get a title in there, but he's going to have the numbers to support that. And he's the best, man. He's must-see TV. There's not too many guys in the league that I want to tune into besides Russell Westbrook every night. I'm looking forward to this season. I think he's going to play with a chip on the shoulder. I think he's got a guy committed in Paul George, another guy who can be a star on his team. And the sky's the limit, I think, for Russell Westbrook and where he can go in his career.
You can't be a fan of basketball, which I am, and not like Russell Westbrook. So I like that pick.
Give me your Well, are you going to give your top 5 and the guy with it too? Or is this going to be? Are you just going to?
We can do both. I would go Magic. I mean, for everything that you talked about, for everything he meant, 5 NBA titles, 3-time Finals MVP. I mean, it is Magic Johnson. When you think about the Showtime Lakers, certainly Kareem, Worthy, and Scott, but Magic was the engine.
Who is your guy?
Oh, you already know. You already know. Come on, man. It's Steph Curry. I don't like. He's got 2 MVPs. just like you said, Russell Westbrook needs a title. Steph really needs a Finals MVP to cap it off. Because as great as he has been in the regular season, he hasn't been phenomenal in the postseason. He has just been exceptional in the NBA Finals when it matters most. And that's what we've seen from Kevin Durant. He's come over to Golden State, and on the brightest stage, he has been phenomenal in the NBA Finals. So he's on track to be the best shooter that we've ever seen. When you look at the 400 threes made when he won the MVP, you know, the year after that, he made 300 threes. That's never been done before. So if he gets a Finals MVP, and if he gets another Finals MVP, that would mean another title. So you put him at 4 titles, a great shooter, put him a few more All-Star appearances, and 2 MVPs on there. I mean, he's got to be in the conversation if he gets that Finals MVP, hands down.
He'll have the numbers. He'll have the numbers and the individual accolades to support it.
He's won a steals title before as well.
I just believe that with Steph Curry, you always think about, I think it's 2 things that's going to happen. The players he played with.
But we talk about Magic, and Magic, I just mentioned, had Kareem, he had Worthy.
Kareem was not in his prime. Kareem was not in his prime. He was still
a very good player.
Worthy is like a Sean Marion filling the lanes, a guy that can fill it and dunk. Byron Scott was not an elite 2 guard, but a guy that was very athletic that could fill the lane. Michael Cooper, same way. I'm looking at the guys on his team. Michael Thompson, guys that play Kurt Rambis. I mean, you know, Magic made those guys better. Steph Curry's playing with arguably right now, in his prime of his career, he's playing with arguably right now the 2nd best player in the league. A lot of people think he's the best player in the league. So,
and Kevin Durant.
And yeah, so he's playing alongside that. Let's get that understood. And you also add in there, you got another guy, Draymond Green, who's been a 2-time All-Star. Then you got Clement Townsend, who's arguably one of the better 2-way 2 guards in the league, and obviously, if not the 2nd best, if not some people think the best shooter in the NBA besides Steph Curry. So it's a different dynamic for Steph in this equation when you talk about all time. But I think by him being a low assist guy, that plays a part. Well, I'm not going to even talk about defense. That's irrelevant. I mean, we all know he's not a great defensive player. So you got to think about defensively, even though you try to bring up the steals. But defensively, he's a liability. Low assist guy. And also, I think, obviously, the guys he played with. But he makes a good argument, but I don't put him in that category.
James Worthy's in the Hall of Fame, Jay.
He is in the Hall of Fame, but I think James Worthy's one of those guys that goes into college again. I put him in that category where it goes into college. Well, James Worthy, the college part, plays a part in why James Worthy is in the Hall of Fame.
And I don't like the way that you just disparage Kareem, because Kareem still has some good years. I'm looking at his numbers with the Lakers. He averaging 26 a game, 25 a game. He giving you 25 and 11, 24 and 13. He giving you 24 and 9. He won a Finals MVP when he was with the Lakers. So certainly he was better with Milwaukee, but he still has.
It's a difference.
He still has some good years left. Like, you made it seem like he was a role player, average guy with Magic when he was with the Lakers. That's not the same Kareem.
They were going to lose their finals when Kareem went down and Magic had to play center.
You just talk down Kareem.
No, it's not. I don't. When you think about point guards of all time, and when you talk about somebody that currently that can replace a Magic Johnson, who we both agree is the best point guard of all time, I think Steph Curry is behind Russell Westbrook in that category. I think Westbrook has more potential to be the greatest point guard of all time. I value the triple-double numbers.
Okay.
And you talked about that before. Yeah. I value the triple-double numbers. You like the bad shot making. The
man made 400 threes and you're about him a bad. How can you that's commended if you can make 400 bad threes.
Shot for him, it's bad shots for other people.
He's the best bad shot maker we got in the league we've ever seen. We've watched this. Me and you watch it. He takes bad. He's a bad shot maker.
But he a 50, 40, 90 guy.
Do you know why people
you just talked about
Magic
the 50, 40, 90
point guard of all time? It's because Magic Johnson was a winner. From the time he stepped on the NBA court, Magic Johnson won games.
So let me ask you a question.
Russell Westbrook has not proven himself to be a winner.
Okay, let me ask both of y'all a question. So we're starting a team right now today, and obviously we just on the point guard. So right now, and let's go current players at point guard position. You have to take the point guard one. Obviously, I know, Clement, you're going to be biased. You taking Steph Curry one.
You better believe it.
Who you taking?
I'm taking a healthy Derrick Rose.
Right now?
No.
What we talking
D-Rose before injuries.
What was the question? We talking about right. I know we
still
talking about right
playing.
now.
He's a current player.
I just zoned out.
He's a current player.
I just zoned out.
No, he's somebody say he'll take Derrick Rose if he was healthy.
But
no
we
knee injuries. I'm taking
right. But we talking about right now. So
right
not
now,
healthy.
I'm not taking Russell. I'm taking Steph.
Okay, I'm about to say we got to talk right now. Right now.
Because I'm taking the winner.
I like Russell Westbrook.
I'm taking the winner.
I mean, I don't.
Steph won before KD got there. Russell had KD and didn't win.
Westbrook is not like he's not a winner. I mean, he's been to the finals.
He's not. Yeah, with KD.
I mean, he's okay.
Without KD, how far has he gone?
He's been in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, playoffs. See, now you want to make it like it's a big
because
deal.
Before,
when
we was talking Steve Nash, he said how many finals appearances.
Right.
Now this Westbrook, he like, I ain't been to the playoffs.
You can't be selective with it
because it goes deeper than that. Because I discredit what Golden State has done.
No, Steph won without KD.
Yeah, he did. I give him credit.
Russell had KD and lost.
But the last 2 years I haven't.
Russell had KD and lost.
I'm just not a Golden State fan.
It's not about being a Golden State fan. See, you involved in the team when we talking players.
And I like Russell Westbrook over Steph Curry. I'm gonna take that to the bank. We can argue all day long. I got the number support. Okay, you keep saying winner, but he hasn't showed up in the finals yet. Has he got an MVP in the finals?
He does not.
No. Okay, then, so let's stop right there.
Has he been to the finals?
Yeah, no. Listen what I'm saying now.
Okay.
Listen what I'm saying. Okay, then, now you talking about all time. When you go all time, now I guarantee you this. I can go on record this. If Westbrook gets to the finals.
Oh, he gonna win the finals.
Yeah. You can believe that. You best to believe that.
I give you that.
If he gets again. If he gets there again.
There's nothing wrong.
Right.
Listen, Steph Curry's great.
Okay.
I love Steph Curry. He's great. He's great. Don't say he's a winner. Stop saying that he's a winner. I don't like when you say he's a winner. That's not. When you think of Steph Curry,
man, he won 73 games in the regular season without KD.
Let me ask you a question. When you think of Steph Curry, the first thing that comes to your mind is not winning. That's the difference.
When you think of Russell Westbrook, the first thing that comes to your mind is not winning too, though. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Killer.
That's
true.
Not winner.
Killer.
True.
And Steph Curry, you just say shooter. Okay, so what's the difference? That's what I'm saying.
Or championship rings.
It's whatever you prefer. Like your taste. Like, do you like the killer or do you like the shooter? It's kind of, your preference.
That's what I said. Y'all like Steph.
Yeah.
I like Russ.
But see, that goes back to my point. The difference in the conversation is the championship rings, which constitutes winning.
We'll be here all day. I'm with you. I'm with you. We'll be here all day. To Rob's point, Steph won before KD.
Well, let's stop. We both got on the big board, Magic Johnson.
No doubt.
Yeah,
all right,
that's hands down.
At the shooting guard position, it's not even really.
I don't even want to talk about this.
All right, so I guess
Michael Jordan. Right. We don't want to talk about this. The GOAT, best player of all time ever to touch a basketball. I don't want. I'm not going to get into an argument with you.
That's no argument.
Now, what we can do now, which is going to be great. I'm interested to see who you pick, but who would be?
Hold on. So if Michael Jordan's not the guy, then we got to say who is number 2 to make it a conversation.
In the current.
No. All time.
At the 2 guard position?
No, Michael Jordan is the best 2 guard of all time.
So he's excluded from the conversation.
So who is the second best 2 guard of all time?
Kobe Bryant. No question.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Kobe Bryant. No brainer.
Bryant.
No brainer.
I gotta agree with him on that.
You played with D-Wade.
Kobe Bryant. No hesitation.
D-Wade is like 3 or 4.
Iverson.
D-Wade. Iverson's in my top 6.
Okay. So I guess it's not much of a discussion. MJ, number 1. Kobe, number 2.
Because I don't know why I want to rate Iverson that. Because I like Iverson. I like D-Wade, and I have to really sit down and think about it. You can flip-flop. I don't think people will get mad if you pick, Iverson over D-Wade or D-Wade over Iverson. But it just depends on what you like. But I would say top 5. I said top 6. I'm sorry. Top 5. Iverson's in my top 5. I just don't know what number I got him at right now.
All right.
Now, Kobe Bryant is a no-brainer second to me.
All right, so you wanted to go to the current 2 guard, most likely or potentially with the chance to get into the GOAT conversation at that position.
This is a tough one because there's no really 2 guard in the league that I believe is at that level. The closest thing I could think at the 2 guard position, I'm gonna have to go with Kawhi Leonard. That could be in that GOAT conversation because when healthy. And then obviously we got a big question mark on this past season, but when healthy, The numbers have gotten better and better since he's been in the league. He is the best two-way player we got in this league, where he plays both ends of the floor. And where his career is headed, if he can stay injury-free, he will be a guy that you could consider in that GOAT conversation, or he'll be on that all-time top 5 list of 2 guards that will play the game. Kawhi Leonard.
What position do you consider James Harden?
I would say James Harden is a. That's a great question.
See, I put him at 2.
I would put him at 2 guard because obviously they start a legitimate point guard even when he's been there. I mean, they started Patrick Beverly,
right?
Chris Paul. So I would say
2.
He's a 2 guard. It's just it's kind of weird because he plays in a very unique system.
For sure.
You know, when you play for a guy like Mike D'Antoni that allows James Harden to handle the ball as much as he does, he's got us confused a little bit. I would consider him a combo guard. But in the all-time history books, he'll probably be considered a 2 guard. I don't think he'll be considered a point guard. I think, you know, James Harden is a unique talent with great vision to be able to get, you know, obviously his assist numbers speak for itself, what he's been able to do over the past three years with the ball in his hands as much as he has. So it's different. But I would consider him a combo guard. But I think when you start ranking him in what position, he'll go down in the history books as a 2 guard. But that's another thing. So that's another reason you don't know what numbers are, because that's when the Ray Allens come into play, right? The Reggie Millers and those things. That's why I said it's hard to say that 2 guard position. I know it's Michael, Kobe, and then those other guys I got to really zone in and think about. But Harden, I will put him in the 2 guard.
So that would be my choice. We know he has the 1 MVP to his credit. You know, some people would say he probably deserves another one. When you look at the points, averaging close.
So you like James Harden over Kawhi Leonard?
I do, in terms of player most likely to become the GOAT. When I look at what James Harden is doing in his D'Antoni offense, we've discussed it. The man takes 10 threes per game and also takes about 10 free throw attempts per game, but yet is still able to distribute the basketball and get you close to double-digit assists. Averaged 9 assists per game last year. The year before, averaged 11 assists per game. Such a unique talent to have the ball in his hands, to so gifted offensively. Not even the help of Kawhi Leonard, but just the offensive control and the package and everything that James Harden brings on that side of the basketball, and the unique way in which he does it, shooting threes or getting to the line. Yeah, man. I mean, certainly he needs that finals appearance. When we talk about things missing from the resume, we know Kawhi has been to the finals and
has a finals
MVP. Right. James Harden needs that on his resume, and we've discussed it. His window is closing fast. Like, I think, like, if it doesn't happen this year, I don't know if it will ever happen. So he at least needs to get to the finals this year, and then needs to play extremely well at a high level in the finals. And then if you tack on a couple more MVPs.
So let me ask you a question.
Yep.
So the numbers speak for itself. Numbers-wise, James Harden is the GOAT at the 2 guard position, probably numbers-wise.
Okay.
But when you really think about it, he don't really guard.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't guard. I don't put him in that category where, as much as he handled the basketball, how many guys have he made better? I would say Clint Capella.
Okay.
You know, I think he's got Clint Capella paid. You know, we look at the guys that get other guys paid.
I guess that's a theme throughout the show. Yeah. Like a Jason Kidd,
who
Steve Nash.
Guys paid. So he's got Clint Capella paid. I give him that, but really nobody else. And he hasn't shown up yet in the big game.
Has not.
You up 3-2. You at home. You up. They were up what, 10 plus at halftime, and you the MVP, and you can't get me home for a half.
Gotta close.
2 games in a row.
Gotta close.
Up big at half, 2 games in a row.
Gotta close.
And you can't close. So I mean, but I'm not against that. I mean, that's a great argument. I like Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard, you know, if he can stay healthy, is headed in that direction where we would put him in the conversation with Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. He'll be in that category as one of the all-time great 2 guards to play in the NBA.
3, small forward. this just as easy as the 2 with MJ.
Yeah, I'm going with LeBron James.
I mean, period.
Well, he just got over that list. What he was able to do this year. I still had Bird.
Whoa!
Won it for a little while.
Whoa! Prior to LeBron making his 8th straight final.
Yes, I had Bird. Yes, I had Larry Bird.
Explain why, please.
I don't have to explain it. Numbers,
I mean, but it's a conversation. I need you just to expand on your opinion a little bit. We got a show to fill here, my friend.
Well, I didn't like your reaction. Your reaction was like I was like far-fetched for saying Larry Bird.
Surprise. I wouldn't say far-fetched. Surprise.
Oh, yeah. But Larry Bird was one of the best. It was the best small forward to ever play the game to me.
Is that a Boston bias?
No. I look at the numbers, the body of work, the championships, all the accolades that he had, his percentages were kind of same as LeBron's percentages, very high. I think, but this year, after seeing what LeBron did with the team that he had to be able to carry them throughout the playoffs and get to the finals, and actually finals where they got swept, but those were like we enjoyed watching those games. You know, even though they got swept, but I thought that was a very competitive playoff series. I don't know, getting swept you ever could call competitive, but it was kind of like these games were really competitive, and game 1 could have went either way. It depends on what you think, but I like LeBron James as the best small forward of all times.
I'm going to see if I could do a player comparison. I thought the comparison wouldn't come into play until we got to power forward, but I'm going to see if I could do a player comparison here. Certainly, the 8 straight finals speaks volumes to me. They both have the same amount of NBA titles. They both have 3 NBA titles. Go ahead. I'm going to do this player comparison. Go ahead.
And not to take away from LeBron's 8 straight finals, but the first
4.
First 4 you played with D-Wade and Chris Bosh.
Come on, man. Larry Bird played with Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson.
But I'm also, see, this is the thing. You also got to look at the competition. The Eastern Conference they ran through. The Pacers gave them the Pacers were okay. The young Paul George and Lance Stevenson and that little crew David West were competitive. They gave them some tough games. But right now, for the last 4 years, when LeBron joined Cleveland and they traded for Kevin Love, we pretty much all penciled LeBron James in the finals. Right or wrong? Yeah. This is the first year when they made the big trades, and I mean when Kyrie Irving left the team, where LeBron James had to put his boots on, and we saw him take this game to a whole nother level at year 15. So it just took a while for me to get over that threshold. He was always in the conversation.
Right.
But, you know, to get to that point where I say he's the best all-time small forward, it took this season.
When you look at, so just doing a player comparison per game, LeBron 27 points, Larry 24 points, 3-point percentage, Larry 37, LeBron 34, 2-point percentage, LeBron 54, Larry 50%. Rebounds, Larry averaged 10 rebounds a game for his career. LeBron only averaged 7. Assists, Bron 7, and Larry 6. And then I don't know if you get into the per 100 possessions. Some people like to go there a little bit advanced. LeBron's numbers come out a little bit better in points. But Larry still has the edge in rebounds. LeBron has the edge in assists. I think
it's close.
I think.
But you looked at the number. You didn't know till you looked at the numbers how close it was.
Yeah, certainly LeBron is so much more, to me, athletic in terms of jump out the gym, in terms of build and muscle. We know, by the shadow of a doubt, Larry was a much better shooter, hands down. And I think of LeBron as a solid rebounder, but to see that Larry averaged 10 rebounds a game throughout his career is just throwing me for a loop. They both average around the same minutes. LeBron averaged 38.8 for his career. Larry averaged 38.4. But I got to dig deeper into this. Damn! Like Larry got years where he averaged 10.9, 10.9, 11, 9.8. I always thought of Larry as a high basketball IQ and a great passer. But I did not know Larry was a double-double machine early years off the glass.
Look at the numbers, man. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie.
For his career, he averaged a double-double, 24 and 10.
I think we've been doing a show. We've been knowing each other now for a couple of years now. I mean, I think I ain't gonna shoot something out just to get a sound bite.
Damn.
I ain't shooting it out to get a sound bite. I'm spitting some facts out right now.
So before LeBron went to the finals last year, if I were to ask you the previous year, you'd have said Larry.
I would say Larry was the best small forward in the game.
And LeBron just passed him.
He just passed him in my eyes. What he was able to do this year in his 15th year, take that team that he had, play all 82 games, show up every big game that was needed this year, and have the type of season that he had, he earned my respect.
Does longevity factor into it? I won't say take out what LeBron did this year, but even if we didn't have that, the fact that he came out of high school and playing 15.
Oh yeah, just 15 years.
The health, Larry had the back issues towards the end.
Kind of like, obviously you talked about Magic Johnson obviously left the game because of HIV. Now Larry Bird had to leave the game because of his back.
Right.
I remember even in the Olympics, Larry could really give them big minutes because of his back. And it's unfortunate because Larry may have still had 2-3 more years. The team was still intact. They still was winning at a high level. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had just drafted Reggie Lewis. Reggie Lewis just came on the Celtics, so the Celtics were still good, but unfortunately he got hurt. Bird was not able to finish his career the proper way, but Bird was a beast, man. And the reason why I say of all time, you got to remember, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson took the games from tape delay to live TV. They started the league where it needed to be, the NBA. They were the ones that started it from college to pro. And a lot of people sometimes don't think about that. And it's always these situations, and we look at this, and we can't argue this, and I know we was arguing about Steph Curry and who he played with. All the great players played on great teams. I would say only Michael had, where you're going to be like, okay, he had one other guy. Then you add Dennis Rodman. It depends what people rate Dennis Rodman as a player. But, you look at all the great players. I mean, they all had good players on their team. Kobe and Shaq did it. Maybe Kobe's second run, those last two titles. Didn't have the big names, but if you know the game of basketball, Paul Gasol was really, really good. I think people don't understand how good he was. He'll be a first-time ballot Hall of Famer, Paul Gasol. So I think people don't understand how good he really was. So
you threw me for that one. All right, let's go to.
I'm just giving you some numbers, and I know sometimes we forget about Larry, but that guy is dominant.
And because the thing about it is, we're seeing LeBron. We're in the midst of his greatness. Right. So I won't say we can get carried away, but we can get caught up in this guy's dynamic, and to your point, forget a little bit about how fantastic Larry was.
And I think sometimes too, and with those guys, when you talk about Bird, Magic, Jordan, Kobe, we started to get into we don't just focus on basketball. We started to look at them as a person and what they're doing off the court. Like a lot of people we don't hear about Kobe no more. Because a lot of people didn't like Kobe. Okay. When he, his off the court things. He necessarily wasn't a team guy. He wasn't. I wouldn't say he wasn't media friendly, but he was just one of those guys. He worked out by himself. He kept to himself.
He wasn't the best people person.
Right. So people don't kind of go to Kobe like LeBron makes the big spiel this summer with the school. And, people fall in love with that. So automatically, LeBron's the best player in the world. Yeah. No, it's not. We're talking about purely basketball on the court. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about all the other things that come along with the guy. We're talking about basketball and basketball only. And up to this year, my personal opinion, Larry Bird was the best player in the game, and LeBron James passed him. LeBron James is now on my all-time list, best small forward to ever play the game.
So it's kind of weird to ask the question, who currently could be the best small forward of all time, because LeBron is playing right now. So, other than LeBron, who could, I guess, pass LeBron as the best small forward of all time?
Oh, I'm going to Milwaukee. Giannis. I'm going to Giannis, to the Greek Freak.
Man, I like this exercise because you just surprising me like crazy. I like this.
I like Giannis.
Okay.
I like Giannis. I like the Greek Freak down in Milwaukee. I think he has the potential to be the GOAT. I think if he ever develops a consistent 18 to 19 foot jump shot, I like Giannis, man. I think he could be great. Obviously, he still has a lot of work to do as far as getting his team to win, getting over the threshold. But I liked his playoffs last year. He turned it up when he had to. Obviously, playing against the Boston Celtics, that series could have went either way in that first round. I like Giannis. I'm interested to see who your guy is.
Who you said might be the best player in the NBA right now in some people's eyes? Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant?
Yeah, Kevin Durant. When you look at 2 Finals MVPs, we've seen him play extremely well on the biggest stage. We know he's got the MVP to go with it. We know that he's got 4 scoring titles, one of the best scorers in the game, probably the best offensive player in the game. Such a mismatch. So to talk about who could potentially pass LeBron is so difficult because LeBron is in the league, and to measure up with LeBron and whether it's his 3 or 4 MVPs and his LeBron's 3 titles and the 8 straight finals appearances, it's hard to measure up. Giannis is kind of a projection and a potential. We are seeing what KD is capable of. To me, it's just a matter of how long can he continue to play at a high level. If we add another title for KD, and that would be 3 straight and 3 finals MVPs, I mean, you got to put him in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we're talking purely basketball.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, we're going to have to put him in the GOAT conversation.
And to your point, yes, he has some great teammates, but you talked about a lot of great players have had great teammates.
Yeah, you have to put him in there. I have to, you know, I don't like to agree with you.
And I know you don't feel KD and what he did, but still.
No. I'm not looking at KD in the competitive part. I'm looking at KD, the basketball player, and what he's accomplished on the basketball court. Yeah, I have to give you KD.
Yeah.
I have to. You are right about that because he does have the individual accolades to go alongside that, and he has done it on the big stage. I think that's the main thing. He has done it on the big stage against arguably a guy that we're saying is the GOAT, is chasing the GOAT, and is the best at his position in LeBron James. So he's done that against him.
So let's go here. You felt like LeBron just did enough to pass Larry with the longevity, 8 straight finals appearances, and Larry held the mantle. What would Kevin Durant have to do to pass LeBron?
Get on that island by himself a little bit. Get out there a little bit by himself.
So win one without Steph and Clay.
And Draymond. You got 3 other All-Stars.
Right.
Yeah,
because we've seen him. We've seen him win.
And it's tough to do.
Okay.
I mean, he's a free agent, and I'm not saying that he's, you know, listening to SouthSideHeat and trying to prove us wrong. But if I was him, to put him in that GOAT conversation, to be able to go out there, and I'm not saying he has to do it by himself because nobody does it by himself, but go to a less talented team.
Just don't have as much talent.
Go to a
you
regular
need
team,
some
not
talent, but not
go to
future Hall of Famers talent.
Go to a less talented team like LeBron James and get to the
like
finals.
the team he left.
Or like the team like he left. You know, play with a Westbrook or play with another superstar and get as far as you make that same run and get it done and be the man on that team.
I understand.
I see what you're saying because obviously we consider Steph a future Hall of Famer. Draymond, if he continues the numbers, he could be a Hall of Famer, and Clay is great. So I see what you're saying, but it's just weird and an unusual position that we say KD has to now go to a team with some talent to make a run, but not too much talent, and then be the main.
Well, I think you got to understand what side I'm coming from. One, I'm saying he obviously he can't or cannot make a run without having some type of talent on the team. I'm not saying, okay, I'm going to leave Golden State and I'm going to the Sacramento Kings. I'm not telling you for him to do that, obviously. But I'm just saying when you talk about GOAT conversation and being the best ever to play this game, I still think it's question marks by his name because of the talent that he's played with. He's playing with 3 other All-Stars that makes the game really, really easy and simple for him. It's a different era in this game. He doesn't guard the best player on the opposite team at his position. He does not. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson does that. His job is to put the ball in the hole. It's in a very unique situation in Golden State. When he had the situation where he could be the man and play alongside another superstar, he failed. He did not embrace the challenge. I'm keeping it purely basketball. So that's not the type of player that he is. So I don't put him in that GOAT conversation. When I think about GOAT conversation, I look at Kobe Bryant wanting Shaq not to be on a team with him, and then getting Shaq out of there and then going to win 2 titles. I look at LeBron James in the situation, he leaves D. Wade and Chris Bosh and goes back and wins a title with a young Kyrie Irving, with a hurt Kevin Love, and wins him an NBA the title, and still gets it for. And those are GOAT things. Those are GOAT status. Going to join a team that won 73 games and has 3 other All-Stars is not GOAT status. Now, one thing I do give him credit for is he's lived up to the hype of him going there. 1, winning 2 NBA titles. 2, being 2-time MVP, Finals MVP. You have to give him credit for that. But I don't think that puts him in GOAT conversation. That's one thing that's going to always be over his head, if he wants that. He may not want to be considered that. He's shown us from the way he handles himself and carries himself that he talked about it. And it was with the simple comment that I know that he's a basketball player. He said LeBron James spends $1.5 million on his body. I play basketball. It's a difference. That's not what he's a basketball player, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I respect and appreciate that. But when we talk about GOAT status, we don't consider that. He will never be considered in that category. He will go down. I mean, he will go down arguably to us as to me, he'll probably go down besides Michael Jordan as the best efficient, easy scoring basketball I've seen. I mean, I thought Michael was easy for him too. If you was a Chicago Bulls fan, we watched Michael get 30 and he'll shoot 10, 15-foot jump shots, just face-up jump shots. So we've seen the easiness of his scoring. But Kevin Durant, obviously, at 7 feet, we've never seen this before. So what makes it unique?
Power forward, best of all time.
Mentioned it earlier, Tim Duncan is my best power forward of all time. I like Tim Duncan. The accolade speaks for itself, the 5 titles, the consistency throughout his career. Starting off early playing with David Robinson to win the title, then taking his team on his back, fighting through injuries, having a couple injuries in his career, being able always to bounce back. The constant pro, brings it night in, night out. Game got better and better, always added pieces to his game, from whether it went to having all the great post moves to stepping out to 15 feet and developing that bank shot that he perfected from both sides of the floor. Defensively, being able to dominate the game as well. Just the best power forward of all time to me.
This one is close. Karl Malone is right there.
I wouldn't argue that.
And I think Charles Barkley is right there too.
For his size, I think Charles Barkley was very unique for his size. I wouldn't say he's. If you want to say that, then I would put Kevin Garnett in there too.
Kevin Garnett, Garnett could be in there. Yeah. And then if we want to go, I got Dirk on this comparison too.
So I mean, I just think what makes Charles very unique and where he stands out at, and where people that we always got to honor, is that Charles Barkley was like 6'4".
Yeah.
Playing a power forward position and dominating at his size. So I think that's what made Charles Barkley stick out. But Tim Duncan on the consistency part, the 5 titles. Getting it done when it counted.
He won a couple MVPs, I believe.
We had 6 titles if it wasn't for Ray Allen.
That's true.
When you look at all these guys, though, I got Barkley, Duncan, Garnett, Malone, Dirk. Barkley, as you mentioned, the size, he had the highest career rebound per game. 11.7 rebounds per game in his career. Second in scoring. Karl Malone leads all these players. Those 5, 25 per game. Barkley, 22. Hard to go against Tim Duncan for everything that you said, though, in terms of the longevity. But Karl Malone has that longevity as well. I think it's splitting hairs. I just like the tenacity with which Barkley played. And you mentioned the size. Certainly, that kind of speaks to me. A guy his size playing so big.
I think people would. You will start a Hughes debate.
Yeah. And I got the numbers up too.
Yeah,
I mean, field goal percentage. Barkley topping them in field goal percentage.
Yeah, you got the leg. You got some legs to stand on. I'm not saying you don't have any legs to stand on. You got some legs to stand on. But I'm gonna take Tim Duncan as the best power forward of all time.
All right. If we go to today's game.
Oh, this is a no-brainer. I couldn't wait to get it out of my mouth. Anthony Davis.
AD.
I'm going Anthony Davis.
Okay.
I'm going Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, if there's somebody that can be the GOAT and can take over the realm at the power forward spot, when his career is said and done, it will be Anthony Davis from Chicago, Illinois. I
agree with that. The question is, what would we have to see from him, though? Because Barkley got you to the finals. Barkley got the MVP. We haven't seen any of that from AD just yet.
I think AD is going through a situation now. He's finally starting to be healthy. It's one thing about all the guys that we talk about being GOATs. These guys play games. They're guys that spend majority of their career injury free and towards the end. But I think if AD can stay healthy, and obviously he's going to have to start. He's going to have to get to finals. I'm not saying he has to win it. He doesn't necessarily have to win it.
Yeah, but all these guys that we talked about, Charles, Dirk, Kevin Garnett, Carmelo, they all got there.
Yeah, at least once. I think we would like to see him on the big stage.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't continue to see him get eliminated in the first round. We're going to need to see him on the big stage. But Anthony Davis is right there where we could be in that GOAT conversation for the best power forward ever of all time.
Center position, who you rolling with?
I'm going with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm not.
You just said he was a bum with LA.
I never once said he was a bum with LA. I never once said he was
like, you was like, man, Magic didn't play with Kareem when he was legit.
He was subpar in LA.
Don't get me wrong. You know, you got to remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar started in the ABA. So, you know, I got to go way back in history. So he's got some miles on his body. So by the time he got to the Lakers, I mean, he still was Kareem, but Kareem is the best center of all time. I mean, it's hard to go against that. I don't know if you got anybody else. I know we got some great centers.
I mean, you know, the people that are tossed around. Wilt is tossed around. Bill Russell, because of the rings, is tossed around, and then Shaq is tossed around as well.
Yeah, Shaq's the most dominant. I wouldn't say he's the best center of all time. Shaq was the most dominant when he was able to use his body and his power and force to dominate inside. But I wouldn't say he's the best center of all time.
And for me, it's just so hard because, like, when you talk about Kareem in those Milwaukee days, those like early 70s, you know, it's just a different game. You don't necessarily even have the same amount of footage. The same thing with Bill Russell. Like, Bill Russell, like, in the 60s, right? And Wilt Chamberlain, like, when he scored 100, Wilt had a video from the game. So, for me, it's real hard. I'm with you on Kareem, but it's real hard to gauge a Bill and a Wilt when it's very little video. And I always say, how many teams were actually in the league when Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain played? Definitely not close to as many. Like, it might have been like 20 teams, so it's not even the same level of competition.
So who you got?
Bill. I got Kareem.
You got Kareem,
right.
Too?
But I'm saying for the people that talk about a Wilt and a Bill Russell, the competition is different, and we don't even really have video like that. You got some black and white film, but like I said about Wilt, there's no video, so it's so hard for me to put them as the top center.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will argue more Hakeem Olajuwon.
You think so?
Yeah.
But I mean, once again, to the Boston, you don't think Boston fans will argue Bill Russell with the rings? What, he got 11 of them?
Yeah, but
he got 11 rings. You don't think Boston folks will argue Bill Russell? 5-time MVP?
Well, Wilt was his only real competition.
Yeah. I mean, so then why not Wilt?
Yeah, back then, but
like,
he kept losing the Bill.
Did not Wilt average like 40 in the season?
Yeah.
50 in the season?
Yeah, but who was he playing against? Exactly.
That's true.
It's like, you know, they cancel each other out. Like that was like the Magic and Bird conversation. It's like they kind of cancel each other out in greatness. They both were very great, but Wilt loses because he kept losing to Bill, and Bill loses because it was only those two that they were really going against.
Yeah, it's just difficult for me because it's such a different era, and it was so long ago, and not like video.
Olajuwon, though.
You like Olajuwon?
Like Olajuwon.
Olajuwon. A lot of people
talk about
argue
defensively
Olajuwon.
And able to finesse and give you a little power.
A lot of people will argue Olajuwon.
I'm going to just say this right here. Wilt Chamberlain in the 61-62 season averaged 50 points per game and 26 rebounds.
Sheesh.
That man averaged 50 in a season, bro. 50 in a season. Come on,
I mean,
bro.
was he playing against midgets?
Right,
yeah, back then, yeah.
The season after that, he averaged 45 and 24. Like, goodness gracious,
playing
man.
against midgets, man.
Back then, yeah.
2 titles, 4 MVPs. All right, let's go to the current player, current center.
Man, this is so hard trying to think of a current guy, because the game has changed so much. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and you're going to probably think I'm crazy.
No, I won't.
When I pick this guy. But Dwight Howard. You know, I'm going with Dwight Howard. And the reason why I'm going with Dwight Howard is because currently, when you think of centers, he's really the only true center that we really got left in the game right now. All the other centers have made themselves into pick-and-pop guys. I thought about picking Andre Drummond as like more of a prototypical center, but I like Dwight Howard. I think the numbers speak for itself. I think he's headed to the Hall of Fame. Been consistent. When healthy, he's consistent. He's a guy that's going to get you 16, 17 points a game, 13, 14 rebounds, and he's going to get you 3, 4 blocks a game. I think, you know, some close seconds, like I said, Drummond and maybe a DeAndre Jordan. Those guys can be some close seconds, but I'm going with Dwight Howard as can be considered in the GOAT category in this current day of age and the center position.
No Boogie before that Achilles?
Well, the reason why Boogie is because the hurt Achilles, and we don't know how he's, I don't know, I ain't going to lie, with a big guy, it's hard to tell how they're going to come back and finish off their career.
I don't think that's crazy because I would say, what about Joel Embiid?
Process.
I mean, the same way that a Giannis,
I like that. I like that.
Giannis has the potential, and Giannis has a lot of work to do. Joel Embiid, to me, has the potential. Gotta stay healthy.
If he's
but
healthy.
we're just on the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we expect this Philadelphia team to do. And I think we agree, we believe the 76ers and Boston will be the teams that rule the East. So he certainly should have a chance to get to the finals. We've been talking all throughout the show about NBA Finals appearances. I think he has a chance to win a Defensive Player of the Year. And I don't think it's out of the question that he can win an MVP. Because if he leads his team to the finals, I think it's going to be Embiid more so than Ben Simmons. Simmons plays a huge role, but I think he would be the focal point, the #1 guy that would get the credit if they're able to go to the finals. So we're talking about people that have to do a lot of work. When you look at a Steph or a Russell Westbrook, they're farther along in their career. But my guy would be Joel Embiid. If we just tossing guys out there, it's a long shot for any of these guys to be in the conversation.
Oh, yeah, right now, especially, yeah. But that's a great. I agree with you. That's a great one. So I would lean more on the side on your side right now. You know what I mean? Depending, you know, it depends what Dwight Howard does in Washington. He's been on a lot of teams. This is an important stop. He's got a good personnel around him. They're my dark horse favorite in the Eastern Conference. So I'm looking forward to John Wall, Bradley Beal, Jeff Green, Kelly Oubre?
For the Washington, Kelly Oubre.
Austin Rivers. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how Dwight Howard can match with those guys and hopefully take his game to that same level that he played at this year with the Charlotte Hornets when he had a great season and played 81 games. So, but I like that though. I think, you know, so to round it up, I went Magic. My top 5 of all time was Magic, Jordan, LeBron, Tim Duncan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I think we pretty much the same. I definitely had.
I thought you went with Malone at power forward.
No, I think I'm going with Barkley at power forward. So
you want Barkley? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going Magic, Michael, LeBron, Charles Barkley, and then center. I roll with Kareem at center.
That's a good poll question. We need people to chime in on that this week.
That Wilt is real tempting for me to roll with Wilt in terms of best all time. I just need a little bit more video. Like I just haven't seen a ton of video of Wilt playing. But like I told you, the man averaged 50 and 25 for it. Come on, Antoine, he averaged 50 for a season,
He's
bro.
still the only person to score 100 points
in a game. But once we ain't have video, all we got is the 100 sign up. So if I had a little bit more video, that would be my guy. All right, we got to take a quick break, though, because Antoine does want to get into that Colin Kaepernick. Nike running the ad with Kaepernick. The president tweeting about it. People talking about they going to burn the Nike shoes. LeBron says he supports them all day. Oh, we going to step off into it and see what Antoine stands on. Did Nike make a smart move or not? Stay with us. Southside Heat coming right back. No, I definitely want to make sure we slide that in.
Stock took a slight hit.
A slight hit, but I think it came back though. Yeah. I own Nike stock as a matter of fact. Nike been on a nice run.
But so did Adidas, man. That's what they not telling y'all. Adidas took the same amount of hit at the same time. So it ain't no direct correlation to the Kaepernick thing altogether.
Adidas took that hit what?
The same hit Nike took after the Kaepernick thing, so did Adidas.
Just for shoes and general.
Yeah, so it's not like a direct correlation where you're gonna have to wait and get the next quarter. Then you'll see. But I think Nike might cash out. I saw a little meme that said the only customers Nike losing off of this is the ones that wear them grandpa 11s.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Right.
We gonna have a good time. We come back at like 38. We'll do this for like 12 minutes, 350. I guess we get to like 12, and then we'll probably get in the cosine decline. I wanted to get into the Luau Dane and Ryan Anderson. Man,
You can right there real quick now.
before the Kaepernick?
Yeah.
You think we need to mention Ryan Anderson? The fact he got traded? Or just do Luau? Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker, back on the SouthSideHeat. We continue the basketball conversation, and something that the Lakers have been trying to do for quite some time. They found a way to part ways with Luau Dane, but for that to happen, Luau had to give back $7.5 million, Antoine, in his contract buyout with the Lakers. Luau, two-time All-Star. Last year, though, he played 13 minutes in the season opener, and that was it. He played just one game for the Lakers all of last season. Certainly, he's had that contract, 4 years, $72 million. The Lakers have been trying to part ways with, but now that they were able to buy him out, Luau can try to go and get on with another team. And I don't know if you want to go at it from Luau's perspective, the fact that he had to give up $7.5 million, or the fact that now the Lakers have a max salary spot for 2019 of $38 million, so you can go after Kawhi, or you can go after Clay, or you can go after Jimmy Butler, or whoever you want to. I guess hit it from both sides.
I actually like this for Luau Dane. It's so hard being a player. Not in the same situation as this, but at the end of your career, you want to keep playing.
Okay.
I know he got the big deal, and obviously you got to make a business decision, and you making that type of money at the end, you don't want to give any of it back. And obviously they signed Luau Dane to a 4-year deal. Eventually he did not become a part of their future. So I'm excited that he still wants to play. 7.5 was a little high for me as far as what I would have given back. I think he still had the Lakers right where he wanted them, where he was not movable.
Right.
So
right.
I think 7.5 was a little high, but also this is the work of your agent. Your agent gets on the phone and figure out if it's a team that's interested in wanting you, and it seems like Minnesota is a team that's going to pick him up and be a part of that team.
What's up with Thibodeau, man?
He trying it again.
He trying to they call them the Timber Bulls.
Well, let's look at the picks. Let's be honest. Taj Gibson,
right.
Solid year. Jimmy Butler, great year.
Yeah.
Besides getting hurt, if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt, they probably win 50+ games. You sign Derrick Rose late, he comes in, plays great for you.
Short
so
stretch.
At the end of the day, I mean, they've had a lot of success. It's kind of like Phil Jackson, and why he's one of the greatest coaches ever. He have a lot of roster changeover. I mean, when you get your main core guys, you get them. You know, you keep your main core. So that's the great thing about it. So I like the fact that, you know, Tibbs wants to go out and get a guy that can be a veteran guy, come off the bench. And Tibbs is trying to build a winning culture. You know, those guys won in Chicago. They went to the Eastern Conference. They ran into LeBron James. So they know how to – they've been in those big games, those big moments. And when you're in Minnesota, you're trying to change that culture. It just hasn't been a lot of winning years there. So you want to change that culture. And Tibbs is a guy you want to get players that you're familiar with. He's not a young guy coach. He wants to be around veteran guys. But I like his for Luau Dane, man. I think, you know, you want to always end your career the way you want to. And he was willing to give back some money to be able to do that. And hopefully he lands in Minnesota and gets an opportunity to play.
Yeah. If you're a basketball player like Luau Dane, you just want to be able to contribute. You just want to be able to play a role on a team. And I'm quite sure that was just a difficult time for him, being healthy, but not even being a part of the team's plans. You know, feeling like you're not wanted. They gave you the money, then at the end of the contract, we don't even want you anymore because we got Ingram, we got Kuzma, and the rest of these guys, and now we got Julius Randle. We don't even need you. So it might have been high, Antoine, but I think you have to do what you have to do if you still want to try to go to a team where you can play and get some minutes and be a meaningful contributor, and I think that's just the situation that he was in. Giving back $7.5 million is high, but I'm looking at his career earnings. He's made like over $136 million approximately. So I think he'd be cool.
Yeah, I think he'd probably.
I think he'd be good.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna sign for the veterans minimum.
Yeah, that's about what 2.5, 2.8.
So he get like 5 to play.
Yeah, not bad at that.
It's not bad. He stole. He stole anyway. 4 years 70 was a steal anyway.
Man,
so
that's on a Mitch Kupchak or whoever gave him that deal. Trick for real.
Hey, so he stole, so I didn't wrong with giving 5 back to play. But I know he wants to play. And like I said before, I'm serious about this. The best thing about being a player in any sport is to be able to leave and play on your own merit. And he didn't want to go out like that. He basically signed a deal for 4 years and didn't get an opportunity to play. And now he's going to get a chance, hopefully, to play. I mean, it ain't written in stone, but hopefully.
If he goes to Minnesota, though, you had to think.
Yeah, but I read that they're working out a bunch of guys, too, because they got 2 roster spots to fill. So I don't know what type of shape Luau Dane is. Probably in great shape because, you know.
Played for a year.
He played. It's probably healthy. His body probably feels good. So he's probably, he probably feels like he's 25 again at this point. But I think he'll be great there.
Let's step away from basketball and switch over to a topic that has so many people talking all across the country, a very polarizing figure in former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Nike made a decision to feature Kaepernick in their 30th anniversary of the iconic Just Do It motto. So they released the ad on social media. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. That has a lot of people talking. Certainly they've released an ad that's going to run during Thursday Night Football during the NFL opener between the Falcons and the Eagles. It was interesting for me to find out, Antoine, that Kaepernick actually signed with Nike in 2011. He has still been on their roster the last couple of years. They just haven't really used him. But he's a guy that has been a part of the Nike brand for some time. They don't plan to release a signature shoe. Before we get into the political aspect, do you think this was a risky move by Nike? I just want you to just talk about, I guess, athletes and brands for a minute. What is it like if you're a player, you don't have a shoe, you don't have commercials? Do players like a Kaepernick, different sport in football, you get paid by Nike or do you just get free merchandise? I know you had your shoe, but what is it like for other guys when you're just a part of a brand?
Well, I think people got to understand when you sign with a shoe company, and it's different types of deals you can sign. So let me just give you an example of the deal that I signed. So I was with Adidas. So I signed, when I came out of school, I signed the 5-year deal with Adidas. After my second year, after making the All-Star team, I went back in and signed a 10-year deal with Adidas. So I signed a 10-year deal with Adidas. And in that deal, you're going to obviously get money, which is your whatever your base compensation is per year. Then you're going to also get bonuses, which is your on the court or on the field performance. You're going to get that type of deal. And then you're also going to get a product deal. Now, a product deal goes, if people don't understand, it's at cost. So just say if a company says we're going to give you $100,000 in product, that's probably $200,000 because you're getting it at cost.
Okay.
You're not paying for it, but they're getting it to you at cost. So they're going to give you a product deal for $100,000. Now, some players do sign both deals where they get a product deal and a deal where they make money.
Okay.
If you're not a bigger guy, big name guy, just say I don't know what the numbers are today, but a big name guy may say, okay, get $50,000 cash,
okay,
and then we'll give you another $50,000 in product.
Okay.
So that's basically a $100,000 deal, maybe $150,000, depending on what type of product that you want.
I think like a Kent Bazemore, he was like with Under Armour, and I think Bazemore helped get Steph Curry. He might have just had a product deal.
Right.
Okay.
So you can have just a product deal, which is not bad because now you can take care of your family, your kids, and people of that nature. You know, obviously you don't have to buy shoes.
You can get whatever though. Like you can get your mama size 5 girl shoes.
You get whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
You can use up your whole product deal, and I mean,
your family.
But that product deal is every year though.
Okay.
And so you got $50,000 maybe allotted to you that year, and I'm just throwing numbers out.
Absolutely.
For people that's listening, just throwing numbers out. So that's how the deal was. So Kaepernick, I'm assuming, I don't know Kaepernick's deal. Kaepernick probably he went to the Super Bowl, he was an athlete, he probably was getting a cash deal.
Okay.
And then he had a product deal.
Okay.
Now, it's their choice if they decide to use you in a commercial.
Right.
I did have one national commercial, so I was involved in
Employee number 8, we know that one, bro.
Right, so I was in one national commercial. I did have my own signature shoe for 4 years, where they actually built the shoe around me. So I had that. Now, the residuals, in order to get paid from that, the royalties you have to sell, I mean, the shoe number is so high that what you got to sell, so you're probably not going to get any money from royalties, because it's, unless you Michael Jordan, LeBron James, those type of guys. I mean, the royalty numbers are going to be so high. So with Kaepernick, I'm assuming he had a product deal and he had a cash deal that he still was getting. Like Nike released, they hadn't done anything with him in the past. So now, obviously, I'm assuming his agent, Nike creative people, marketing people, coming up on his 30th anniversary, they probably thinking of something big, a big splash. Want to make a splash. Maybe his agent has been driving, Nike to do something with Kaepernick. He's trying to get him some money. Y'all got to realize, Kaepernick is not making any money playing football right now.
Right.
So they're probably trying to do, agents probably trying to do whatever he can to put some money in Kaepernick's pocket.
His last season, though, I think he made maybe like 20 mil his last season, so he should be in a good spot.
Okay. I don't want to count his pockets. I don't want to count his pockets, but let's also, and before we continue, let's also remember, let's know Nike's history. In March, if I'm not mistaken, and you can look this up, Clement, Nike signed a new 8-year deal with the NFL for the uniforms, if I'm not mistaken. This was in March of 2018.
Nike does have the deal for the uniforms.
Yes, Nike has the deal for the uniforms. So they've got a great working relationship
with the NFL.
With the NFL. If you know Nike and you know their history, I'm just going to give you 3 players. Let's start with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods went through everything he went through. Nike didn't drop Tiger Woods.
It's true. Still got a swoosh.
Kobe Bryant went through everything that he went through. They didn't drop him. You know what I'm saying? So let's just go with those 2 big figures already. Nike sticks by their guys, regardless when they go through tough times. Let's go on top of that. Let's even make it even better. Michael Jordan. Yeah. Michael Jordan played, retired, controversy, came back at 40, and then they had to do a partnership with Jordan. So you got to think that Nike's always stuck by the athlete, especially the urban athlete, when they went through trials and tribulations. And they've also put money in those guys still. Now, they may not market them commercial-wise as big as they used to, but they still do the same thing. Obviously, Michael with brand Jordan has a whole different program going on. But think about it. They didn't let Tiger go. They didn't let Kobe go. And they didn't let Jordan go. So why are we surprised that they did not let Kaepernick go? I'm not surprised at this move. They do this. This is what Nike does. They do that. They support the guys. And actually, Kaepernick thing was very positive. So it was easy for them to get behind. Obviously, we know the debate behind it and the political stance behind it. But if you really think about it, and what's getting lost in this whole thing, and me covering this and me talking about it, we're forgetting about what Kaepernick actually got on one knee for. We're not talking about that no more. All everybody's worried about now is that, oh, Nike's supporting Kaepernick. No. The purpose of him doing that, we don't even talk about it no more, was the injustice. We don't talk about that, and that's the one thing that bothers me about it, that we've kind of let that just kind of go underneath the rug. And then another thing I don't like, Clement, is I don't like the silence of Kaepernick. I'm not saying he owes the world or owes anybody anything, but when you have all these, and I'm not saying, well, I don't know if publicly he's reaching out to certain individuals, and not saying he has to, but it's a lot of people that are standing up for him and speaking very highly of him and commending him, and we get crickets from him. And that bothers me a little bit about Kaepernick. You know, you started this, you got this thing going, and now, you know, they pretty much, and I believe this, I'm not 100% sure, and I know he's in court right now, but I believe the NFL owners was like, look, we're not going to bring this, we don't want this on. I think it brings too much press, too much negativity, too much up and down. I think they did say we're not going to sign Kaepernick. I don't know how you feel about that, and if the owners, did you believe the owners made that stance or not? But I believe the owners made that stance that we're not going to sign Kaepernick. And I think it's going to come out in court. I think he's going to get compensated for it.
When I look right now at Nathan Peterman is going to be the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills in Week 1.
Is he better than Colin Kaepernick?
You can't tell me that Nathan Peterman has a job and Colin Kaepernick does not deserve a job in the NFL. You mentioned that he went to the Super Bowl. I was at that Super Bowl when the 49ers played the Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. He's not the greatest passer, but he can still fit in different type of offenses. He can still make it work. He still has the skill set. So your question was, do I believe that they are specifically keeping him out of the NFL? Absolutely. You can't tell me anything about the game of football, X's and O's, and how he can't run certain offenses, and if he was good enough, he'd be in the league. That is flat out absurd. That is flat out wrong. Colin Kaepernick has the skill set to be in the NFL. To your point, it is the other stuff, the political stuff that the owners don't want to deal with. But, I mean, we're going to go there. We're going to go there. And you talk about people don't want to talk about the injustice. Part of that is because of number 45 and where he places the focus. And number 45 tweeted out, just like the NFL, whose ratings have gone way down, Nike is getting absolutely killed with anger and boycotts. I wonder if they had any idea that it would be this way. As far as the NFL is concerned, I just find it hard to watch and always will until they stand for the flag. So when 45 puts out tweets like that, talking about the flag, that's why what Colin Kaepernick took a knee for gets glossed over and swept under the rug, because he's the leader, he's the commander-in-chief, and he's putting the focus on something else, the flag, and not about the mission, not about what we're actually, or what Kaepernick is actually trying to bring awareness to.
Yeah, it goes both sides. I mean, it's hard for me always to comment on Trump. I'm just, man, I mean, Trump's like a joke to me. So when when Trump's a joke, I don't really like to comment on guys like that. I think Trump being president was a bucket list on his list. I think he had the money to run. I think he did it. I think when you don't see presidents be involved in so many everyday activities like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is worried about what people are saying and tweeting about him. You don't see this from presidents, so I don't really get caught up in what Trump says too much. I think we have to get back to what's important at hand, and we're from Chicago because we all here. We see it every day. We got a big case going on right now.
Yeah, the Laquan McDonald case.
The Laquan McDonald case is going on right now. You know, my thing right now, this trial is going on, and this is no offense, and I'm not saying Kaepernick, but if you stand up for injustice, you saw the video like we did. This is one of the videos that he saw that I think ultimately, I'm not 100% sure, but he's not in Chicago right now with that trial going on.
But
I'm not saying he's not coming.
Right.
I'm not saying he's not coming, but this is what I'm saying. If you're going to do it, do it.
But let me just say this, though. I think
you can't be just doing it halfway. If you're going to do it, do it. Because we in Chicago, we see it every day. Every day we see black on black crime. We see the police crime. We see everything every day. We in it. We're both from the south side of Chicago. I'm from Inglewood. We see it every single day.
But I think people can help in the way that they feel is most comfortable. Just because you feel like you got to be on the front line, I don't think that's the only way you can help.
But so you feel like he was helping by losing his job and not standing for the flag. You thought that's helping?
See, what I'm saying is Kaepernick is still doing a lot of stuff and having a huge impact behind the scenes. He's still giving money. He's still connecting with communities. He's still standing for a cause. We talk about foundations.
So you think he connected with our community on this case? This is a big case.
I don't necessarily think he has to be connected with Chicago.
I'm scared if he gets off. I'm actually scared of if he gets off, of what can happen in Chicago. So I'm just saying, I'm not following. Listen, I'm with Kaepernick. I respect what he did. It takes a lot of courage to put a person to put themselves out there like that. We don't have a lot of those people in the world, especially with the platform that he has to put his career on the line.
Because it looks like his career is over with.
Right. So to put that out there, I have a lot of respect for him. I wouldn't have did it. That's not I wouldn't have did it. But I understand why he did it. I know somebody has to do it. I mean, we don't have a lot of people that do it. But it's some real live situations going on. He's very quiet. If you're saying he's moving behind closed doors and getting things done, then so be it. Then I'm totally wrong. But I'm looking at situations that's going on in Chicago. We got a major case that I hope goes the right way. And if it doesn't go the right way, it's going to be scary of what can happen here in Chicago. Yeah, so I don't know if what Kaepernick and which case is more important or is it all of them together. But we got some real life situations happening in these neighborhoods. So if you're going to be about it and speak about it and take this stance, you got to come on out.
Yeah, I just think the form in which you are down for the cause and assist for the cause and go to bat, I think that's relative to every single person. Some people might say, why aren't me or why aren't you out a part of protests and on the front lines? They assemble a lot of protests here in Chicago, and neither one of us are out there. Well, that's not the way we feel most comfortable helping. So I think Kaepernick is making an impact in trying to do things the way he feels most comfortable, the way that he wants to make an impact. So I don't think you have to be on the front lines, doing press conferences. I wish he would have talked more about the football aspect and talked about how he still, had a love for the game and still wanted to play. But I just don't think...
Or maybe posting videos of him working out and stuff like that.
But I don't think... There are a lot of activists in Chicago that, I won't say that are vocal, and I don't think that's a requirement for Kaepernick to do to show that he's really in the trenches. Because I believe Kaepernick is in the trenches doing things.
I mean, I'm not going to say not, and I don't think he would have took the stance that he took if he's not going to be an activist. And I can imagine the groups and people that try to reach out to him on a daily basis, and he is only one person. So I understand that. I just know if you're going to take that stance and put your career and everything on the line, go all the way with it. Don't stop now. I wish he would be more vocal. I wish he'll speak out more. You have a lot of influential people in this world that supporting him and behind him, or at least supporting him on social media. At least they're tweeting the right things and saying the right things. I don't know if they're the ones that's going to get on the front line with him, but hopefully, if he decides to come out a little bit more and stay on the front line, we'll see what happens. He puts the pressure on myself and you to see what we're going to do. But as long as he stays quiet and behind closed doors and doing big time Nike commercials that we're going to see tonight, that's not necessarily making the stance. We need him to be on the front line, especially the situation that's going on in Chicago. But good job, Nike. Continue supporting the athlete.
And good job, Colin Kaepernick. That does it for another episode of Southside Heat. Be sure to subscribe. Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.